teachers who are working hard to find new and innovative ways to support our students with new learning, and that our students are engaging with our special programs teachers and have enjoyed those learning experiences. And so I know it has meant a lot to our special programs teachers to start to connect with the students that they work with. And so those are just some really exciting celebrations that we've had. I know that there are many more out there, but as we like to do here, we like to start with celebrations and just kind of kick us off on the right foot. So good things are happening during this time. All right, so as we shared kind of at the start of the year, we really want to be a united front together as a campus. And so, as we do continue this school year, we'll continue moving forward together because we know we are better together and we are raised united. And so that comes not only from our teachers being united, but being united with our community, being united with our kids, being united with our staff. And so, from the Reagan administration, we are just appreciative of our community, and we know that there have been ups and there have been downs, but we are very appreciative of the just the relationships that you are forming with us and the trust that you have instilled in us as we've moved forward in this journey. So thank you for being with us. And as we know, if we're raised united, we can accomplish this. So just wanted to say thank you as we dive in tonight. All right, so I love this quote. I think when we think about this time, if you were to ask any educator, nobody has ever done anything like this in a pandemic. And we know that mistakes are going to happen. And something that we shared with you the last webinar we had is we want to be open and transparent. And we know that we are going to make mistakes. And I think the great thing about being a part of Leander is that failing forward mentality. We're going to grow and we're going to improve. But no, I love this because it says mistakes are proof that you are trying. And so know that we are all working hard, and there are going to be mistakes, but if we continue to have that fail forward mindset and just grow from them, I think as we continue through this new experience, new educational world, that we're only on the other side of this, we're going to come out better from it. So, we are going to fail forward, but we're going to fail forward together, and we're going to learn from those mistakes that we make. And so with that, I know that this has been a conversation and a question that has kind of come up, and it's information that we did share with you prior to the start of the school year. But first want to just say thank you to those of you who sent in your input, and those of you who answered a phone call from Miss Kim or Miss Shannon or our counselors, just to kind of share with us what your thinking is come September 8th and beyond. We know that there's a lot of uncertainty right now until we kind of have a clear-cut decision from our board coming tomorrow. But once that information is rolled out about what exactly our phases will look like, we will communicate that with you all. And so what we do want to share with you that we know for certain is come September 8th, we're going to treat it as if we were planning to have our entire student body come back in person as we had planned to do prior to the phase-in approach being presented. And so on September 8th, prior to September 8th, students will be assigned to their in-person and their virtual teacher based off of parent input. We're still working to try to have as little movement as possible for our students. And we're still finalizing who our in-person and who our virtual teachers are going to be based on looking at all factors that go into that. And the big decision that we're looking at is just supporting that student to teacher ratio when we are here on campus. Our goal from the beginning has been keeping those ratios as low as we can, but we also want to be respectful to our virtual teaching ratios and what is capable and what is acceptable. So I appreciate your patience and I appreciate the openness that our families have had to this. We know that it won't be easy, but we understand that when we're trying to make these decisions, that moves are going to happen. And so we just ask that you continue to be on the lookout for information that's going to be coming out next week. Also add, as you are maybe having conversations as a family about what is right for you, if that has changed from August 6th, we ask that you please reach out to us so that we can truly plan accordingly. We know that a month is a long time and decisions can change, and what was right for your family August 6th may be different as we are getting close to having some of our students return on September 8th. So please just reach out to us so that we can make sure that we have the most up-to-date information from your family. Okay. So I'm going to let Ms. Cordell, our assistant principal, kind of talk about some of the procedures that we've been working on here at Reagan.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Norman. So we have been trying to think through the lens of safety and how do we do school while following all of our safety protocols and ensuring that our students are following the social distancing and those kinds of things. So first of all, arrival and dismissal. This was decided a while back that our school day was actually going to extend by about 10 minutes. So this is super important in that our start time and our end time have changed. So 7:20 is when the doors will open. In the past, it's been 7:15, but that is different this year. It's going to be 7:20. And then the actual school day begins at 7:40. So in the past, it was 7:45. 7:40 is that start time, and so that means make sure your kiddos are there and ready to learn, because after that they are considered tardy. Students are going to be dropped off at designated doors this year, and there'll be more information that comes out about that, but basically kind of an overview is kindergarten will be dropped off in that near the kindergarten first grade neighborhood, and then they'll have a door that they go in. Same thing for first grade, third grade, and the various grade levels will have different places that they go into the building. No one will be going through the front of the building at this time, because that will limit the amount of time that they pass each other and different things in the hallways. So they will go through the door that is really closest to their classroom area. Staff, we are going to have lots and lots of staff out throughout the building and all around the front to support our students in getting where they need to go, and also to be a reminder of that social distancing piece. So they will support getting the students to class. Parents are not allowed in the building, which that has been a practice at Reagan for a while now. I know in the past you have been on that first week allowed to come in the first day or two, but because of the keeping everybody safe, we can't have any parents and staff on duty, and they will help all of our babies to go, including the kindergartners. So I know mama's heart, you're probably worrying about your kindergartner getting in there and getting to the right class. We will make sure that they do. Dismissal. This year we are going to have the students dismissed from their class. We've worked out a system of communication to where there will be people out at parent pickup who then communicate into the classroom, and then those teachers send those kids out individually. And again, we'll have staff at various locations to assist in getting everybody where they need to go. And then, okay, so then specials, lunch, and recess. We are going to have specials in person. So when the students come back in person, they will get to go to PE and library and music and art, but we will continue in those areas to abide by social distancing and ensuring that we're following safety protocols. We've even built in extra time in between specials so that they have time to sanitize and clean areas that were touched at a high level. Lunch, we have, we're lucky at Reagan, and I don't know that I would have said this before, but our tables break in half. And so that has made it pretty easy to set up the cafeteria in a way where students are socially distanced. So there are only 2 students on each of the benches, and so they're 6 feet apart. And then we ensured in our setup of the tables and things that the students do have that social distancing in place, as well as visual spots where they stand while they're waiting to get their lunches that keep that distance between them as well. Our cafeteria will be serving warm dishes. They will still get their choices when they go to the cafeteria, and will get their normal hot trays that they choose to get. And the cafeteria ladies are going to be very diligent in handing them condiment packs and handing them napkins and different things that they need rather than having a communal area for those things. Recess, just today, we went out to the various playgrounds and have designated zones at, on both the large playground and the smaller playground, so that when students are out with their class, they will stay with their class of friends, and then they will play in a designated area. And then our goal is to rotate that area each day so that each class does get an opportunity to play in the various areas and aren't confined to just one. We are working to get some different playground equipment so that no matter what area they're in, they will have different items to play with and to keep them entertained, to get some of that energy out. Hold on, I'm covered up. And then as far as PPE and cleaning protocols, so some requirements that we have set forth is all students and staff must wear a face mask during the school day. Initially, it was the older kids that they talked about needing to wear a mask, but that has changed, and it is all students will need to wear a mask. During the day, especially when they're in common areas, there's a possibility they may be able to take them off in the classroom when they're at their desk in their work area, but anytime they are together, they do need to wear their mask. So super helpful. I know with my own child, I've been working with them to put on that mask and to wear them at certain times of the day. In fact, they think they have to wear their mask during virtual learning right now, but I'm okay with that because they're going to be very used to that once school starts. So if you guys can help us out and start having them try to put it on and wear it for a chunk of time, that will be helpful. Classrooms will be stocked with hand sanitizer and cleaning supplies. We have it all in the office, getting ready to get out to the classrooms, and so they have lots of supplies to help support them keeping everything clean. We will have sanitizing stations set up around the building. Today we were looking at various areas, like the doors going out to the playground. They'll have a place where they have hand sanitizer. And also the entry points that I mentioned in the arrival dismissal, they'll have hand sanitizer. So we're going to make sure there's lots of access to be able to sanitize our hands and equipment and different things. And we're lucky again at Reagan because we have most classrooms have a bathroom in the classroom, but there are times when the communal bathrooms need to be used, like when the students are at lunch. So what we are doing in communal restrooms is we have certain stalls in certain areas that we are blocking off. So in the girls' restroom, it looks like every other stall being available and then the ones in between being closed. And then in the boys, certain urinals are covered up with plastic material to make sure that this is in there as well. We have the communal sinks in those areas too, and so we're also putting in protocols to where we have one student at the sink at a time. And then every night we have this nice little system where each classroom, if that classroom has been used that day, then they have a sign that they flip to tell the custodians, this classroom has to be sanitized. And so then the custodian knows, and then she flips it back to let them know that it has been cleaned. So that way we can really keep a close eye on every single area and make sure that it has been fully cleaned and sanitized each night and ready for the kids the next day. All right, I think maybe Ms. Hauser, I think you're up next on the next slide.
Okay. My internet is unstable. I'm like, let's just hold on 20 more minutes. Okay, so our schedule at Reagan, for the virtual empowered learning, we created a schedule based on different instructional minutes requirements, just to ease our students into this virtual empowered learning. So after September 8th, we will begin a new schedule where our students will have more instructional minutes, both in live instruction and then the asynchronous. And so one of the reasons why we are doing this is we really want to ensure that all of our students, whether they're in person or in a virtual setting, that they're receiving the guaranteed and viable curriculum that we want all students to have access to. The lunch and recess schedule will be different than what it currently is. and as well as the specials time. So we will roll that out, and that way you'll know your child's grade level schedule. And teachers, both virtual and in person, will have the same conference time. So if you need to schedule a time to meet with them, you will have you'll have access to your teachers if it's scheduled ahead of time. The changes in the content minute, so that you are going to see an increase in this. So again, during the first 3 weeks of virtual learning, we really wanted to just ease our students and our families into this environment. And so you will see that there will be an increase in the area of language arts, which is our reading and writing. For our younger grades, we call that humanities. There will be more time for small group. So right now, your student might be meeting with the teacher once or twice a week in small group, but you might see an increase in that when they're virtually, and then definitely in person. You'll see an increase in the amount of time they have for science and for social studies. And that's so that our students are receiving the appropriate amount of time to do investigations and the hands-on activities, whether it's at home or here at Reagan. The synchronous, we just really want to make sure we're really clear on what we mean by synchronous instruction. So I think of like synchronized swimming. So synchronous would be all together, whole group, it's live. It's not, it's when the students, if they're in a virtual setting, that they would be online with the teacher would have her camera on, the students would have their camera on. It's an opportunity for them to engage not only with the teacher, but also their peers. And so that's what we mean by that synchronous instruction. The asynchronous means they might be working on an assignment or a workplace for math, and that would be at their own pace. And so we want that to be purposeful practice. We want that to be something that directly connects to the instruction that's happening during the live lessons, but that would be something that maybe they're doing if they're learning at home. They can have a little bit of flexibility on when they are, the pace that they go when it comes to those tasks. So again, this schedule will roll out after or on the 8th. You will see a difference. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to your child's teacher or any of us, and we'd be happy to answer those questions. I'll also say as a parent, we're really trying to make it as manageable as possible on the parent side for the students that are going to be learning at home. And so right now you might have different times for small groups, but we're really going to work to have that consistency throughout the week, just so your kiddos can get that routine and not have changes.
Thank you, guys. So just a couple more things that we wanted to share with you. We know that as we continue to rock and roll this school year, there's going to be a need to have certain supplies that would be normally utilized in the classroom at home for our students who are continuing virtually. So we are working as a team. Ms. Hauser is working with other instructional coaches within the district at the elementary level, and then we're also getting feedback from our classroom teachers to put together a supply pack for each student in each grade level. So all students continuing in the virtual setting after September 8th are welcome to come on September 4th from 3 to 5 o'clock, and then September 8th from 3 to 5 o'clock to pick up those supply packets. Students who are continuing in person, we will have a supply packet for them to have in the classroom. We just felt that it was easier to keep all of those supplies in one central location for our students who are both virtual and our students who are in person. So depending on the decision that's made tomorrow at our board meeting, if your student is part of a phase that is maybe at a later date than September 8th, if that's the decision in the direction that we go, you are still welcome to come and pick up a supply packet on either of those days. We just want to make sure that we're very clear that those supplies that are given out on the 4th and the 8th come back if your child is coming back in person, because it will include math workbooks or social studies information or some type of manipulative that maybe is utilized in the classroom on a regular basis. So these will also be supplies if your family chooses to change from a virtual environment to an in-person environment after 9 weeks, that we would request come with that student to the in-person learning environment so that they have those materials readily available for them. And so be on the lookout. We'll be communicating more clearly, or we will be communicating with you all what that process will look like. Most likely it will be as the other deployments have been through the back of the school. And you'll just come through and let us know what grade level you're picking up for, and we'll be able to give those supplies over to you. And so the second thing we have, and it's been phenomenal to see today, Miss Arnold and Miss Baskin, our librarians, have been working hard to put together our curbside pickup for library books. And so in the Insider yesterday, we sent out information about an app that families can use that allow kids to go in and look at our database and make requests for certain books. And then Miss Baskin and Miss Arnold have been coming up here and putting those books together and then putting them on a cart for families to come and pick up between 2 and 3. As we approach in-person learning, those times for pickup will change because that would interfere with parent pickup. But right now, while we're all in this virtual setting, our families are welcome to come in between 2 and 3 to pick up books. And if your child gets new books and brings them back, we have a tub for you to put those return books in. So I would encourage you all to utilize that. It's a great way for your kids to just dive into the series that they've loved and they've missed here at Reagan. And then the last thing we wanted to share with you all is our Reagan counselors. They've been working really hard to kind of get into some of our classrooms, start to make those connections with our kids. Our new counselor, Miss Felton, is working with our kinder, first and second kiddos this year, and Miss Martin is working with our third, fourth, and fifth grade kiddos. And of course, they're going to collaborate and support all students. But if you need anything or your child is needing anything, please feel free to reach out to them. Our counselors are able to provide a lot to our families outside of just some social emotional support. If you're needing supplies, or if you're needing just any type of support for your family, please feel free to reach out to them. We have a ton of resources for our families to use, not only during this time, but when we are in-person learning also. So you are welcome to reach out to them. Their information is also on our campus website, and they have been sending out weekly information in our insiders. So those were just some of the big things that we wanted to kind of share with you. We feel pretty good as a team that we're starting to really make some forward movement to get our campus ready for our kiddos to return. You know, and as I said when we first started this, we know that mistakes are going to happen, and we know that not everything is going to be done perfectly. And so we appreciate you all coming and listening to us tonight, and just reaching out to us, and we'll dive into a question and answer time. So Ms. Hauser, what do you got for us? Stacy, myself, you.
All right, here we go. I'm going to try to group them as best as I can. So
okay.
This is a two-part question. So the first part is, what is the percentage of students at Reagan that have picked virtual versus in person? And then the follow-up to that is, when will parents know which teachers will be in person and virtual?
Those are both really good questions. So from our results that we have completely collected from August 6th, kind of beyond filling in some of those gaps, we have 42% of our population has chosen in person, and then that would mean 58% of our population has chosen to continue virtually come September 8th. We are having families reach out to us that are deciding to make a decision to change one way or the other. So those percentages have changed a little bit, and that also has come into factor how we determine how many virtual teachers we need and how many in-person teachers we need. And so we had finalized a grade level yesterday, and we have one more grade level to finalize to solidify who our virtual teachers are going to be for the time that we need. It's really important to know too that as our families move from virtual to in-person, and the need increases for classes to be dispersed here on campus, that will be pulling our virtual teachers back onto the campus. So while we may start with 3 virtual teachers in a grade level, as our numbers of in-person continue to grow, we will have to bring back those virtual teachers into an in-person setting.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. Can we get clarification on lunch? So the assigned seats, 2 students to a bench, would you mind expanding on that, Ms. Cordell?
Sure. All right, thank you for your question. So in our cafeteria, we have the bench seats at our tables, and when we measure the distance on the bench, if one child sits on either side, then they are 6 feet apart. And then on the flip side, our tables are, so there's not kids right across from those two. So then on the other side, we have spaced the tables apart to where even though you are face to face with a student, there is still a 6-foot distance between you and the student that is in front of you. So we did ensure that every child, when they are in the cafeteria, does have that social distancing piece. In fact, today we even taped down some cute little rays on the tables so that students had a very clear visual of where their spot was and where they needed to stay.
Awesome, thank you. What is the deadline to switch options before the next grading cycle? So I think that means like in-person or virtual.
So right now we're asking that families make that decision 2 weeks prior to the end of the grading cycle. So if a family was going to make a change for after this first 9 weeks, we'll be sending information out via the insider. Hey, we're getting close to the end of 9 weeks. If your family is wanting to make a change, please submit this information to us. If your family is not wanting to make a change and you're going to stay, then we don't need to hear from you. We're happy to hear from you, but we don't want families to feel like they have to fill out more information than needed. It's just for those families that would like to make a change. We'll need to kind of get that information a couple weeks prior to the end of the 9 weeks so that we can relook at our numbers and readjust and make sure that we have the appropriate space allocated for our students, both in the virtual and in the in-person environment.
So there are some questions in regards to supplies. So one of the questions is what kind of additional supplies required for virtual learning students? And can you give some examples on what we will be picking up on the 4th? And then there's another question about do they need to pay for the supply pack? How does the supply pack differ from the other school supplies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you will not need to pay for this supply distribution. These materials are more things that are utilized in the classroom on a regular basis. So it will include a math workbook. It will include our social studies newspaper. It will include a whiteboard. It may include some math manipulatives that are regularly used in the classroom that would be really beneficial for our students to have to use hands-on as the teacher is teaching that lesson. Jump in, Ms. Cordell. I'm trying to remember our list that we have on the whiteboard, but it's really going to be those materials that are provided at the campus level, not necessarily materials that are provided within the PTA purchased supply pack. So it will not be markers, it will not be crayons, it will not be extra paper, it'll be more instructional material. So
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It would be more the instructional piece. So for example, if a child was at school, they may have a number corner student book that they work from, or a Bridges book that they work from, or a social studies weekly that they do their lessons from. So they'll be getting those kinds of items at this next deployment.
And up to this point, students have had access to all of these materials. They've just all been digital. So we want to get, actual hard copies and manipulatives in their hands just to help with some of supporting our students in a virtual environment.
Ms. Norman, you might have already said this, but if you did, I missed it. But there'll also be the leveled book. So when they're doing their small group guided reading, I know that they've been doing some things online for the time being, but they will actually get books in hand to be able to support them with that.
thank you.
So just to clarify, because there's still a couple questions about supplies. So anything that is on the supply list, when you go to our Reagan website and it will say, like map pencils or spirals or rulers or things like that. So as parents and guardians, you might want to go ahead and buy those supplies just so your students have them. but the materials that we are supplying are what would be considered like consumables and campus manipulatives. And if they were to come back, I think Ms. Norman said this, if they were to return to in-person learning, they would need to bring those back with them. Okay.
If your family is needing support with some of those basic school supplies, whether it's a backpack or spiral paper or markers or any of that, please reach out to our campus counselors. We do have extra quote school supplies that we would be able to provide to families. So please just reach out to them if you are needing assistance with that with your family.
There is a follow-up question about the leveled books. Will these be rotated on a weekly basis?
We're still kind of working that out. We're really partnering right now with our SRP team as they are working on book deployment. And so we're still working on kind of the kinks of what that process would look like. But we do believe that it's important for our kiddos to have those. We just want to make sure that we have a really solid plan in place. So that's something that we'll be kind of sharing in a later date, but we just want parents to know that those are on the forefront of our mind and they will be coming home. We're just still kind of finalizing that plan. And like I said, partnering with our SRP teachers too.
This next question, there's two questions that are related to attendance. So the first question is, what time does the first bell ring? Can we confirm that time? And when would they be considered late? And then how is attendance going to be taken for virtual learning students if there's a doctor's appointment or they're joining an hour late?
Okay, well, as far as the first bell, that is the one that I mentioned the time change. So it's 7:40 this year, which is 5 minutes earlier than what it has been in the past. So that is the time that if students arrive after 7:40, that they are considered tardy. The schedule is a little different virtually. They may not start right at 7:40 because it may be that there is something that they're expected to do to prepare for the day or something like that. But that is the school start time. With attendance, I can talk about how attendance is taken now virtually, but I think we probably will need more guidance as we move into the September 8th phase. Right now, the teachers do take attendance during their synchronous learning. However, there is a little bit of flexibility to where if for some reason something happens, we know that there's been some Zoom issues and there's been some different things, and what we don't want to do is punish a child and count them absent because maybe their Zoom was not working right at that moment or they had some internet struggles. So our teachers do have the capability to go back and change that as long as the student is active during the day at some point. So for example, a student can't get on and do all of their work on Monday and then not get on the rest of the week and still be counted present. So they would only be counted present for Monday. So they have to have evidence that shows that they've engaged every single day in order to be counted present for that day.
There is a question about buses. Will buses be running right away starting phase 1?
So we're still getting more information. I just received information today from our lead transportation, and we're still getting more guidance about that. And they're going to be starting to reach out to families who normally utilize bus routes to kind of see what our need is here for Reagan. I did want to piggyback off something real quick that Ms. Cordell said with attendance. If for some reason your student needs to be out for a doctor's appointment or whatever, please just treat it the same way you would in a normal year, and we ask that you send that you would just send Ms. McEwen an email, and we'll have the exact email of where you would send those excused letters for a student being out sick or a student needing to go to the doctor or the dentist or anything like that that would normally come up. We'll have a spot for you to email those to Ms. McEwen so that she can put them into our system. So.
There is a question about if your child will need to change teachers, will they be reassigned and start virtually with those teachers prior to September 8th?
So I may not be understanding the question correctly, but prior to September 8th, all families will know who their teacher is based on the decision that they made for virtual or in person. So if I'm a first grader and my teacher is going to be a virtual teacher and I chose virtual, I would just stay with that teacher for as long as I chose to be virtual. But if that teacher has been assigned virtual and I am in person, I will need to be placed in an in-person classroom where the ratio is sufficient to meet the safety protocols in place.
Okay. There's a question about last year's yearbooks and pictures. How can they pick them up if they didn't get to pick them up earlier?
You are welcome to come up to campus. We are open 7:20 to 3:30, I think. I can't remember the exact start time, but Miss Kim is more than happy to help you. We do have a yearbook list and we do have extra pictures up here for any family members that want to still come and pick those up or even purchase them.
Do we? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ms.
Can I
Cordell.
circle back to something that Ms. Norman mentioned? So, and I'm wondering if the question about the kids needing to switch to in-person or virtual is more about exposure to those teachers before we come back. And so I just wanted to talk about on Fridays, we're going to have kind of an assembly time so that the students do get acquainted with all of the teachers on the grade level so that when they do come back, it's not somebody they haven't had any exposure to. So we are trying to be intentional on giving them those opportunities, even though it may not be, they are not going to be assigned to a specific teacher, but they'll still going to get exposure to all the teachers on that grade level starting this week.
There is a question about ESL classes starting. When will they start? And then for virtual learning, when will they start? What will that look like?
So our ESL teachers right now are kind of working to first make sure that we are identifying all of our new students that have come in. And so right now Cox Elementary is set up as a testing site. And so our ESL teachers have been going there a couple of days to support all of our new students that have come in and registered for Reagan. So that's something that they've been working on right now. And then they've also been working on looking at where each student is placed, and they're starting to kind of have one-on-one Zooms with students to support families. But if your family is needing support right away, please just reach out to them and they can support you in any way possible. But I would say, you know, give them a couple of weeks as we're still trying to finalize all of our students who need services and what exactly that will look like come the next couple of weeks.
There is a question about with the schedule changing on September 9th, once kids are back in school, will there be any big difference between in-person versus virtual, such as the amount of teaching time being the same?
Would you like to answer that, Lauren?
I can try. So as far as after the 8th, the virtual schedule and the in-person schedule are very similar as far as minutes. The minutes are identical for whole group instruction versus small group. What the difference is, if they are at home, if they're learning from home in a virtual setting, when they go into that small group time, they may not be online. So whereas on campus, they might be working, they might be pulled for a small group with the teacher, which could still happen virtually, but they also might be working with social distancing with a partner on like a word work activity. They might be doing a math game or a math station at their desk. And so that would be the difference, that asynchronous might be where they're now offline and they're doing something at their own pace in their virtual setting. But instructional minutes are identical for virtual and in-person starting on the 8th. And that, for the questions that came in, we might have a few more come in, but this is, we're making great time this go around.
Well, if more questions come in, we are happy to answer them. We hope to do another one of these as we do get closer and really speak specifically to in-person learning so that our families feel really confident come September 8th, whatever that phased-in approach looks like. So just be on the lookout for that. If you have questions or concerns or anything, you can reach out to any one of us. We are here working at school. We're happy to make a phone call or respond to an email if you need anything. We know that that these are trying times, and we appreciate all of you just taking the time to support our students, support our teachers, and like I said before, mistakes will happen, but the great thing about Leander is we truly are a fail-forward mindset district, and so we'll get through this together. I say if we can get through a pandemic, we can get through anything. So we appreciate you all coming in. If you have people reach out to you wanting to know more about what we discussed tonight, please reassure them that it has been recorded and we will be posting it on the website. We will also be pushing out more information more frequently on the website with different videos or just clarifying information for families as we approach an in-person decision. So Ms. Cordell or Ms. Hauser, you all have anything else or have any other questions come in? No?
Thanks, everybody.
We appreciate you all, and just thank you guys so much for your support during this. So hope you all have a wonderful night and a great day of learning tomorrow. I believe tomorrow's performing or art with Miss St. John, so hopefully kids will jump in and do some art with her. So y'all have a wonderful night.